Hi, and welcome back to the channel. Today, I want to talk about how to peek behind the curtains and look through the veil of illusion that exists in the human world, right? Basically, what to do when the words don't match the actions, which is unfortunately happening a lot throughout the world right now. I remember when I first got enchanted by the concept of systems. I was in my high school biology class in Brazil, and the teacher told a story about how a farmer introduced a duck to his lake, and that kind of stabilized the whole ecosystem and created extra opportunities for other things to flourish. So I thought, a seemingly small change can have systemic effects that build on themselves? Got it. That's kind of where my fascination for biology also started because it was a very complex system, and altering small pieces of it had changes that maybe were huge or maybe not that huge. And it was just a really interesting puzzle to solve that was never obvious. And that's what I liked about it. So, from realizing that, I guess I started to look at the behind of things, to the big picture that kind of scaffolds these seemingly small actions and signs. And this naturally led me to have an interest in psychology, which is the unseen scaffolding behind all of human interactions, basically. But it's much harder to keep track of, much harder to measure, and impossible to prove. And humans, we need certainty. Oh my God, we crave it. So little is done in the world without having absolute certainty of the risks. Even though our calculations for things rarely capture all of the significant variables that are involved. And even if we did, the only constant in the world is change. The world is always changing. Stagnation always breeds dysfunction because the obstacle is the way. Life flourishes through challenge, through tension, and through resistance. And although I believe that humans can absolutely transcend that, majority of our lives are spent in the unconscious. We are thinking beings, but the majority of us, a lot of the time, we are not fully present. And we function on automatic pilot, which means we choose our comforts because, of course, why wouldn't we? But I think that the Western world, it shields us from too many things. It creates these societies that are super far removed from the unpredictability of nature and the influence of spirits too. Technology and the media, through things like movies and the news, they create this psychological and material veil of comfort and convenience that we all eagerly accept. I myself love my comforts and conveniences, but too much comfort does make us weak, especially in the sense that we end up lacking motivation or capacity to do the hard thing, to choose discomfort when it's necessary. And I honestly see so much dysfunction having root in this not being able to do the hard thing. For example, people feeling like actions of communal care, like wearing a respirator to prevent the spread of a vasculotropic airborne disease that has been slowly and silently crippling people in the background. People see that protection as a deterrent to personal freedoms. To each their own is a personal preference. Well, that has been a wildly popular take since the pandemic started, and unfortunately, because of mindsets like these, the problem never really ended. It was just minimized and ignored, and now it's being allowed to silently pile up damage in the background. I am always reminded of this quote by Robert Greene Ingersoll. In nature, there are neither punishment nor rewards, there are only consequences. And it's true. Another instance of doing the hard thing that's been appearing in our kids, since through the convenience of ChatGPT, they've been skipping the process of writing, which is in truth the process of thinking. Reading and writing are not just that, but they build critical thinking, the ability to follow a rationale, to understand within a nuanced context, to use your imagination to think beyond what's already been done. Using ChatGPT to replace your own brain processing bars you from all of this. You end up skipping the learning, the process, the journey, which, granted, can be hard, but it's also the entire point. And as a systems analyst and lover of pattern recognition, this one is quite concerning to me because I recognize that the journey is the point of basically everything. The act of doing the thing is what builds the skills that make you you. The process of writing the book gives you the skill, the knowledge, and the understanding of the topic that is required for you to have written it in the first place. That's the secret. It also builds less considered skills such as confidence, self fidelity, then knowing that your word means something. And this particularly matters more to your subconscious than you'd expect. Use it or lose it, it's a fact of life. Sure, you need the product that in the end gives you the acknowledgement of having the skill or something you can monetize for a living. But the skill of actually being able to do the thing is the real value in this equation. Unfortunately, Western society, or I guess nations shaped by colonization in general, we have this obsession with the product, with the end game stuff like money. Over time, this seems to have shifted the main goal of any activity and service to like monetizable end product or the appearance of skill. And this seems to have exploded now that AI can be used to skip the thinking and doing process of creation. The world and the internet are now drowning in AI slop as real artists get accused of being AI or are having their art stolen to feed into AI models. It's grim. People like to think that we have control of our brains, but the reality is that you become what you consistently do, what you consistently think of, how you consistently feel. And those things are heavily influenced by the set of rules that already existed before you were even born. All throughout our childhood, these rules are going to be reinforced through our parents, through our school, our religion, our culture, so many things. It's an invisible lens set upon your face that dictates much of how you see yourself and the world around you. This affects us most during our child development years, of course, when most of our growth happens in our subconscious and biological levels. But the world has this way of continuously telling us what we're supposed to be or aspire to. Again, movies and the media, celebrities, trends, they all weave this veil of illusion that tells you this is the way of things and this is who you must be to be a part of it, and part of it you must be. But I would like to tell you that things are not as concrete as they are made to appear. We have the capacity for so much more than we are presented with. Sometimes this inevitable superior future that seems just set in stone is not. And it's actually already filled with holes and stumbling forwards only by force and a lot of money. And it's because of these fake and crumbling prospects that we're seeing AI being rapidly pushed onto society. Despite its many evolving and concerning issues, just people are just slamming it through. The idea seems to be you make it about national security to justify skipping all the regulation and bureaucracy that may exist. And Trump is actually an incredibly important figure of this because he is so threatening. He creates this national security situation for anyone that needs it. They're also using the success of the AI bubble to justify littering the land with data centers. And again, for safety and security and sovereignty purposes, of course. And you also build things faster than they can be fought. Ask neither forgiveness nor permission, apparently. We can't get a bridge fixed without weeks of bureaucracy, but y'all can build data centers and detainment centers in a weekend? Okay. Literally so rude. On the surface, these pretty words like sovereignty and security, they help push the rapid expansion. The AI bubble that they've been feeding basically by themselves is providing this air of success and development. It's the future. In reality, we have communities with poisoned water, land, and air, skyrocketing energy prices on top of it. We are pushing infrastructure that relinquishes our sovereignty, partnering on the same technofeudal plans that make Canada the 51st state. Why? What are we doing? And so I ask, what seems to be the real plan happening here? What is the true purpose of this? It seems to me that AI isn't being directed towards its amazing potential in things like science and human elevation, but it's actually being directed to warfare and human replacement instead. It's just such a waste. It's such a waste of resources, direction, time, everything. And the last fact of life that we seem to have forgotten is that the only constant in the world is change. And this applies even for stagnation, because we have a war machine that right now is running out of places to invade and exploit. And now the biosphere of this planet is collapsing under the gargantuan weight of centuries of destruction, pollution, toxins, and emissions, all from this very same machine. Change is a coming whether we like it or not. Some people are highly aware of it, some because they study it, and others because they are causing it. And it seems to me that the idea of the causers is just to direct this change into technofeudal oligarchy through chaos, because it's easier to control a population through chaos. And this isn't even a speculation of mine. There's historic and psychological precedent to this, and it's openly spoken about amongst the ruling class. So then they managed to take over the government through this corruption festered orange Hitler, and now we have accelerationists just exploiting stuff at grand scale. For what reason, you might ask? Great question. I too would like to know how they're allowed to fail in such constant ways. and suffer no accountability whatsoever. But it also might not have a real reason because accelerationists will accelerate. Some people's detachment from nature and humanity causes this creepy dysfunction that makes them just love to watch the world burn for fun, just so they can say they did it. Which begs the question again, in this big picture, how is AI being used? What is it actually doing? If the same 1% that essentially runs the war machine, which is now rampaging across the world with its counterpart, if these are the people designing the artificial intelligences and directing them, what kind of goal do you think they're going to have? Ignore the words being used to describe this inevitable future of AI, okay? The buzzwords and the labels that they are designed to make you feel specific sort of alliances like sovereignty, safety, prosperity. It's for the kids, of course you're going to say that. But look beyond these words to what they're actually doing. How is the technology being used? Where are things being actually directed? Do not ally yourself with an idea or a person just because they say the right words. I've been seeing this more and more lately, and I really feel the need to talk about it because I think it's so important for us to understand that the veil of illusion exists, and now that it's breaking, it's becoming desperate. And it's going to start using bigger lies, using bigger fear mongering. A lot of things are going to start happening now that change is being forced by the planet, by the unsustainable ways of necrocapitalism that has put us in this situation where this year there's going to be a wild Godzilla El Nino. Our summer is going to be crazy. Some people are going to try to weaponize that crazy. And I hope to give people enough threads to pull at so that we're no longer fooled by the pretty words that don't match what seems to be really ugly actions. So thank you for being here till the end. If you like it, please leave me a comment. If you have any comments about this particular topic, I'm super interested in it. So leave a comment down below, and I will see you on the next video.